room before opening it up to the media.
Okay, it's fight weekend here in Milan. Just tell us how you're feeling.
Really excited for the opportunity because I wasn't really sure anything was going to happen in Europe this year. So it's really nice to be able to fight again.
And it's been a long time coming for you. You last fought in December, as you've just alluded to. How has that break been for you? What have you sort of used it for?
I've always been working on improving my game. The UK lockdown was a little bit inconvenient there, but I've had sort of a small group of training partners. So I've still been able to train through it. And
just finally from me, your last fight was, of course, a title challenge against Ali Malay. What did you learn from that bout, having gone the distance with her in December?
Going the distance for me was a big deal, purely because I haven't done a 5-round fight before. So just getting through that, feeling okay, and holding up mentally with fighting in Hawaii, fighting in front of a home crowd, being the other side of the world, all of that, and it didn't really faze me, and the sort of mental resilience there was something really good to take away from it.
Gareth?
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi.
You obviously you mentioned December. You were incredibly resilient on the night without you'll know this, without imposing yourself enough to win the fight. How have you gone back and assessed it?
It's hard because it's just the small difference in the ground game is enough that once she was on top, she was able to stay on top. Maybe I went in there with the sort of mindset of you don't wrestle a wrestler. That might not have been a good move because obviously being on the bottom wasn't the chance of me then reversing position and being on top was not necessarily going to happen. So perhaps I should have tried harder with takedowns, but it's really hard to second guess fights. She was that much better than me, and that's sort of the end result of it, really.
With Denise, it's kind of the other way around, that she probably doesn't want to wrestle with you, I imagine. Do you get that sense? Because obviously her stand-up background.
Obviously, she has got a solid striking background. Notice that she is maybe a bit more hesitant in her striking against grapplers. So that might help there. But yeah, realistically, I would hope that my ground game is better than hers.
Is this, if you can get hands on her, should this be, I don't want to over-egg this, should this be a simple night's work in Milan?
I hope so. She, in a way, I think her striking's better than Lena's, but in a way, there's sort of the same kickboxing background as my fight last summer. But obviously she has the judo to go with it and the sort of infusion background where they mix the judo with the striking. So I wouldn't underestimate the explosive element to her game, but I think on the floor I'm a more technical grappler.
Final thing from me, you mentioned it in passing just now about how exciting it is, and it's just like a privilege to be actually having a fight and at an event. What did you learn? We've asked a lot of fighters about this. What did you learn about yourself in the 6 months where we were all locked down?
I only really took 5 weeks off properly from contact training, and then sort of had one teammate I was rolling with until the elite legislation for gyms came back into force. I mean, in hindsight, that 5 weeks was fine. 5 weeks off isn't a big deal in the sort of the grand scheme of things. And it was good for recovery, but not knowing how long it was going to be at the time, that was pretty difficult, really, because I don't take much time off for training, and I like being in the gym. I like coaching. I like being with my teammates.
Steve?
Thank you. Kate, it's already been mentioned that your last fight was with Alimale, but what hasn't been mentioned yet is that Denise Kielholtz is a kickboxing world champion for Bellator in her own right. So is this like going from the frying pan into the fire, champion to champion?
Not really, because kickboxing, I mean, she's obviously a very good kickboxer. She's got an extensive record, and she's beat some really good opponents, but this isn't kickboxing, it's MMA. And I'd like to think that she's wary of my grappling ability, and that will probably change the striking element slightly anyway.
I know you said you expect to be a much better grappler than her on the ground, and with more extensive experience in MMA, that would certainly seem to be the case, but she has shown rapid improvement in that department. Her last 2 fights were both by submission. So did you watch either of those, and where would you rate her as an overall MMA fighter now?
She's good. She's obviously improving fast, and obviously she's got the judo background, so it's not like she's coming in completely fresh to grappling. But her last submission win was against a debut kickboxer. The one before that was good, but I think that her opponent, Christina Williams, maybe not taking anything away from Denise, but it did look like it happened very fast, and she possibly froze a little bit. But I mean, I guess I'll find out. We have an opponent in common. Denise's fight from last summer is a previous opponent of mine and a training partner occasionally. In fact, I gave Bridie Tyrell, I gave her blue belt. So I do have a sort of a rough gauge there, but we'll see. You never really know until you get in there.
All right. Best of luck in the fight, and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Santiago?
Hello, Kate. Good afternoon from Amsterdam. Are you excited to fight someone who's on a 3-fight winning streak so you can take all that momentum away from her?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's always good. Denise she's got a solid game, but I think she's also new to the sport, so I'd like to hope I have a bit more experience there.
And the last thing for me, you have been in the cage with some of the best women in the world. Do you think that experience can help you get this fight to a good result?
I think so, yes. There's obviously she's got very extensive kickboxing background, so it's not like she's any stranger to competing at high level. So I guess we'll see, really. But for MMA, then yeah, I'm definitely more experienced.
Luis?
Hi, from MMA Pit. You are 3-2 in Bellator. You have very interesting career fighting the best of the best, being the last Bellator title contender and 2 semifinalists. What can you tell us about your career?
I mean, I came in here having a lot of fights on the regional scene, and really with Bellator, it's great to have the sort of this platform and the ability to fight good opponents and know that they have a pool of women they can pull from to match me, and that once I'm matched, usually the fight goes ahead, because I spent a very long time sort of desperately trying to find UK and European opponents when there weren't very many around.
All right. Thank you very much for the time, Kate. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.